All right, Regina, thanks for joining us at 10-Minute Labs. And the way that it works here is I'm going to set a timer with Siri, and it's going to be for 10 minutes. Once we're done, you can wrap up the question, and then everyone gets to hear all of your amazing answers in between. So here we go. Siri, set a 10-minute timer. All right, it's ready to go. 10 minutes.
Awesome.
Let's go. First question, Regina, is you are on the education side of real estate, and your background's all real estate broker, real estate agent out of Carlsbad in San Diego. Tell me what you see as what's changing on that side of the real estate world.
Awesome. Well, that's a great question. Thanks for asking, Tristan. And yeah, so I teach at a college and a university. I teach real estate classes. So I see a lot of the students that are coming in and they're brand new to real estate. They're not sure what to expect. And they're really excited of what they think real estate is going to be. Well, first of all, it's not going to be what they think it is. We all know that by now, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that really the industry is evolving to be a little more teamwork oriented. And that's what I see is being demanded by today's students is more collaboration, more transparency, and more accountability. And those are things we didn't have when I first started in the industry. I'm dating myself a little bit, but 1988, it was very, very competitive. Nobody shared any information or knowledge with anybody else. I called it the shark eats shark industry.
That's funny. And you know what? As I was getting into real estate, I could totally see that was the case. It was kind of shifting out of it a little bit, which is kind of cool. So then tell me, with that all changing, what do you envision the future real estate agent being like? What are they equipped with? What's their mindset like? How does that look?
Yeah, that's a great thing to think about. But as I said, many real estate students that I see, they're excited and they sort of have this vision of, I'm going to go to an office with great people. We're going to encourage each other. We're going to work together as a team. We're going to be positive. And that may happen in some offices and it may not happen in other offices. But I think the demand is there for people that want to work that way, as I mentioned before.
All right, cool. And so in regards to a real estate agent, let's say 5 years from now, they're barely getting into the business or they're barely going up. What do you think those qualities are that will allow them to get to that next level? Because you're more on the education side, so you get to see what they're learning right now, how they're growing, right? So what's the key?
Well, in one of our classes, which is real estate principles, we actually do a DISC assessment and figure out what their personality is and talk about the importance of each of the 4 main personality characteristics and why they need to be, skilled in each of those. And if they're not, we talk about how to partner with people who are. So I think that's really important to know what your skills are, what your strengths are, and what your characteristics are. Another thing we do is we go through the leadership strengths and we talk about different strengths that they have and how they have different experiences and how they can bring that to the real estate profession to be successful. And really, it's all about connecting what they already know with what they're learning now and where they're going in the future.
Well, I like that. Can you take us through that a little bit? Because I know not all agents went through the right education to get to where they are. I wish there was like one way to get through where everybody would be learning one single way with all the amazing things, right? But tell us, what are some things that you wish agents would have learned before that they need now?
Well, I'll tell you one thing the most valuable thing I learned when I got my associate's degree in real estate from Cuesta Community College. It's in San Luis Obispo. This was back in 1988. So yeah, I'm taking it way back there. But the most important class that I found fascinating, and I continue to use it every day in real estate, is real estate appraisal. Now, for many real estate agents who are maybe going through a crash course and maybe just taking the bare minimum to get their license, they might not have had a real estate appraisal class. But, when you're meeting with sellers, sitting down at their dining room table, giving them a CMA, I think that information and that knowledge is just so critical to understand what makes up an appraisal. Then also when you talk about sellers selling their house and they get a copy of the appraisal from the buyers, or you're working with the buyers, they get the appraisal. How are you going to explain it to them if you don't even understand it? How are you going to say, no, this came in too low and here's what we can show the appraiser to, come in at the correct value that we believe the house is worth.
Do you think that with that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have a question on that specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that agents nowadays, when they jump into real estate, they're more focused on making the money and forgetting the basics of what you just said, which I think is very important? Are you seeing that more now?
People start any new career, whether it's real estate or whatever it is, looking at two things. Number one is, of course, the money. This is not a hobby. They want to support their family. And number two, they look at serving people. And you can serve a lot of people in the real estate industry and still be broke, right? Unless you're actually making sure that your behaviors are intentional in terms of making money. For example, you can put buyers in the back of your car and show them houses every weekend for 3 months and not have a sale, right? If you didn't qualify them up front, doing the right activity or the right process of making sure that they're qualified up front.
You brought up a great point there, and I just wrapped up this book called How to Lead. So
cool.
it's a new book, right? And it's excerpts of interviews that David Rubenstein did over the last maybe like 4 or 5 years, right? And like every small chapter is dedicated to an amazing leader. But you brought up something that reminded me of what Richard Branson said, which he says he never goes into a venture with the idea of making a profit. He's always worried about making best in class product or making a difference. And I think with that ideology behind what we do as real estate agents, where we come in and we say, you know what, I want to come into this and make a difference in somebody's life and do things better because I see that there's a gap. I think that's where we can go back to what you said initially, which is now we worry about our craft, right? Which is, I should actually learn how to do the CMA correctly and all of these items, right? Because you want to stand out.
Understand an appraisal and what the components of value are.
Yeah. So that, I think you hit it right on. So tell me, you and your husband, Carlton, I love Carlton, by the way. I'm a Carlton fan. I love Carlton.
Must like Green Bay Packers then too.
I love Green Bay. But you guys are very positive as a couple. And I want to know how you maintain that attitude to always look at things as a way like they will get better. It's not that bad. Don't worry about it. That type of attitude, which I think is very contagious in a good way. How do you maintain that positive attitude?
It is. Well, some people I think are naturally just positive and some people are naturally just negative. And sometimes it's just sort of the characteristics that we're born with. And, Carlton is one of those charming, charismatic, positive, happy-go-lucky type of people. That's just his natural personality. For me, I'm a little more introverted, so I do have to work at my interactions a little bit. So that's one of my skills that I've, continued to work on. But really, I do have a positive attitude. I'm excited every day about going to work. Believe it or not, even though I'm super busy, I'm excited about making a difference in people's lives. It just motivates me to get up and get started every morning. And in this business, there are a lot of obstacles. So I view them as solutions, in the making, right? They're problems that need, as you said, to close that gap to, need a solution, and I can craft the right solution to help everybody get to the finish line. So I think my faith also plays a big part in that. So definitely, I know it's been hard for a lot of people not getting to worship on Sundays, or not getting to fellowship with their church friends and their church family. But I think it's really, really important. I know every Sunday morning I wake up and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I wish we didn't have church, because then I could stay at home and work. And then I'm like, okay, this is God's day. I get out of the house. We are actually, going to an outdoor facility where we follow. It's been approved by the county, or following all the social distancing. And before this, it was online. So after that, I just totally forget about real estate, forget about career and everything else, and just focus on the message of praise and worship. And then when I leave, I feel like a totally different person. I just, how you go to the chiropractor and you get like adjusted and you're like, oh, I didn't even know I needed that, but I feel better. And I feel like my attitude is adjusted when I leave. I just have
That's so true.
Yeah, it's like putting fuel in the fuel tank. It's like, okay, this is my fill up for the week.
I love that. And Regina, that wraps up our time. But I just want to say that what you mentioned about a community, right? Whether it's a place that you feel connected to other people because of a certain faith, or just because you have the same ideology, I think that's really important to maintain a positive attitude. So thank you for bringing that up. I love that. So Regina, again, if you have a referral for Regina, she covers the Carlsbad area, and she could definitely help you out. That's in Southern California, in San Diego.
Southern California, yep. Or if you're interested in taking real estate classes, I can direct you there. And by the way, in our classes, we used to have guest speakers come in. We can't do that anymore because we don't even have live classes. So guess what we do? We watch LabCoatAgents videos.
You can watch this one too then.
Well, we like mostly we've been watching the interviews. So there's really fabulous interviews. I know there were several that have been done recently that our students just love, and they feel so inspired. They have to watch it and then they write about it. And they write about how they were impacted and, through the message and the interviews. So keep doing what you're doing.
So cool, Regina. Thank you again. Thank you for being such an amazing part of LabCoatAgents and helping us grow so much.
Yeah. And thank you for your vision and carrying it through.
Yay. Thanks, Regina. Have an awesome day.